Hi, everyone. My name is Adina, and I am a librarian at the Newton Free Library. Thank you for joining us today with our Get Creative video. Today, our video focuses on reading and the brain. So how does our brain understand reading and the words that we see and the letters that make up the words that we see? So there is a lot of science to understand behind all of that. And we're going to get just to a little bit of that today. So what I'm going to ask you to do is that if you're interested in learning more about this, please come visit us at the library, put on your scientist hat, and you can do some research yourself. Now, for us to officially get started, what we're going to do is you are going to see a rhyme, and I'm going to try and trick your brain with this rhyme, okay? So you're going to see it. I'm pretty sure you're going to be familiar with it. I'm going to show it to you very quickly, and I want you to read this to yourself. And when you read it, if you need, I want you to, well, when you read it, I want you to see if you notice anything that might be a little different than what you're used to reading. If you need help reading, please ask a nearby adult to help you. All right, I'm going to show it to you quickly. Are we ready? And go. All right. Did anybody see anything different than what you're used to seeing with it? Okay. Now, as scientists, we like to do an experiment more than one time to make sure that we get the same results. So we're going to try it again. I'm going to show it to you also again quickly. And I want you to try and see if you notice anything different this time. Ready? All right. Did you notice anything different this time? Now, what I want to point out is that we're going to read this out loud all together. Ready? It says, Mary had a little lamb. It had an extra A in there. Did anybody catch that the first or second try that we had at reading it? If you did, awesome. And if not, that is okay. We're going to talk about why we may have missed that before. But before we do that, we're going to try this out one more time. I'm going to show you again a rhyme quickly that I think you all will recognize. In fact, you could probably sing this one as well. All right. And again, I want you to pay attention and see if you notice anything differently than what maybe you're used to seeing. Ready? Here we go. All right. We're going to try reading it one more time again to double check our results. Ready? Here we go. All right. Did we notice anything different this time? We're going to read this out loud together again. So it's twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder you are. It is missing the word what. Did anybody notice that the first time? If you did, great. And if not, that is also fine too. Now, we're going to talk about why. What we're seeing in front of us is a picture of our brain and how our brain works when we are reading something, okay? So here is how it starts out in a simple way, okay? So when we read something, it goes from our eyes to a part of our brain that is called the occipital lobe, which is that green section that is in the very back. And then from there, that information, those letters and those words move to what's called the brain's letterbox, which is in part of the temporal lobe, which is closer to the front. And then it moves to other parts of the brain so that it can have more meaning and get more understanding. Now, what also plays a role in what happened before is how we also may have missed or we may have seen that extra letter or that missing word is that I also gave you some prompts. I gave you some clues that you might recognize what we were going to see. And when we read something, when we read the first couple of words, if we recognize it, our brain is going to automatically fill in the rest. So you saw Mary had, and your brain filled in the rest. So you might have missed seeing that extra A because of that. Same thing for our twinkle, twinkle rhyme. Also, when we read, we don't necessarily always read in order. So we read and we're looking for the pieces of that sentence that's going to give us the most important information, like who or what. And we don't always pay attention to those fill-in words like A's and thes and ands. All right. So what does all of this mean? I mentioned the word our brain's letterbox before. Well, let's talk about what that actually is. So our brain's letterbox is what allows us to really remember and understand letters and words. So the letterbox starts to form as we read. So when we are learning to read, when we are young, and we see letters, well, these letters just look like black squiggles that you may see on the screen. But as we're learning to read, and those letters then come to have more meaning to us and more understanding. So they're changing from black squiggles into letters. So somebody who is a practiced reader will have no problem, for the most part, reading most forms of the written word, but somebody who does not know how to read, or somebody who is just starting out learning how to read, their letterbox hasn't been built yet. The more practiced a reader, the larger your brain's letterbox is, and the more that it will retain, it will keep, and it will remember, and all of that starts to give meaning to the words and letters that we see. So a practiced reader will not have a problem reading something, even if it looks different than what we are accustomed to seeing. Like if the font looks different, if the typeface also looks different, or if there's a mix of uppercase and lowercase, sometimes even a very practiced reader can understand a word or even a sentence if there are letters there if there are numbers there to replace a letter, or even a few letters, or even be able to read something backwards. So I hope that you all have enjoyed learning a little bit more about how we read and how our brains are able to make something so amazing like that happen. If you are interested in learning more, please come and visit us at the library, and please keep looking back to see what other new and awesome videos we have on our Get Creative page. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed your video and have a great rest of your day.